And the Valkyries they end their homestand, guys, on a 3-game winning streak. They beat the New York Liberty. What was the final score? 76-67, but held a 22-point lead at one point, I think in the fourth quarter. Really big win. Championship contenders? No, I'm just kidding. Jane. No, we'll talk about it. Jane, we have Jane Kenny from the San Francisco Standard. We have Marisa and Ingemi from Valkyries Beat. We have Kenzo Fukuda from Clutch Points, and we have a guest on for this fine Sunday afternoon. We have Apricot. Eric
of Valkyries Nation.
Of Valkyries Nation.
Hello, everybody.
Yeah, the extraordinaire. Probably should be a coach on the Valkyries, but that's neither here nor there. I'll start with Jane. How big was this win tonight?
It was huge. I think their bench looked great. Really complete, 10-woman effort. To have a stretch of 3 games in 5 days against, as I think Kenzo was asking it in the post-game presser, like these top-tier opponents, and to get a tiebreaker record-wise advantage over New York by beating them a second time could have major playoff implications down the road. So this was just a pretty complete win. It's really impressive to hold a team like the New York Liberty that just has a lot of weapons to those 14 and 15-point quarters like they did, and to be able to go into this 5-day stretch before their next game with 3 wins in a row is, I think, not what we expected, and it's really good for them going forward.
It was a little bit of a homecoming for one player on the Liberty, Sabrina Ionescu, but it felt like she was in hell all night. She finished, I think, with 9 points. 3 of 10 shooting. Yet another time the Valkyries hold, a high-scoring guard in check. Marisa, what did you see from the Valkyries guard that kind of put Sabrina on ice tonight?
It's kind of the same thing they've been able to do against other guards all year. Natalie name dropped Kelsey Plum and some of these people. We saw them do it against Olivia Miles earlier this year as well. It's their ability to switch with so many different guards. They have Veronica Burton, who's a lockdown defender, Gabby Williams, obviously. Coming off the bench, you have Kyla Charles. Tiffany Hayes can play really strong defensively in some of these stretches too. But the fact that they don't really let up, I think it goes back to their bench depth too. You could be playing in the first quarter in your matchup against Veronica and you get through her, and then Gabby's there. And then later on in the game you have to go with a very fresh Tip Hayes. That's really tough. So the fact that they've built this very intentional team that can guard these shooting guards very well, it's very impressive.
I'll ask you, Kenzo, also a resident Warriors guy. Chris DeMarco also made a homecoming today. It's been 2 times now, though, the Valkyries have kind of shut down what they've wanted to do. What were your just first impressions of, obviously, a month ago they blew them out, and then they blow them out, a month later. What were your impressions of New York, and how were the Valkyries able to not just with Sabrina, but kind of keep Jonquel Jones in check, Brianna Stewart, all these big scores? Maureen Johannes didn't really have a great game. How were they able to do that tonight?
Yeah, tonight felt like a kind of game where New York is so talented. I feel like that roster is one of the best in the league. They have a good bench despite not having a lot of bench scoring production tonight. And I just feel like this game kind of showed the difference between what hustle and coaching and chemistry can do for a team that can make that goal feel way less, because I wasn't really impressed with the Liberty offense. I thought it felt disconnected at times. I thought they didn't do enough to get Sabrina going. I thought Maureen Johannes they probably could have ran a couple more plays for her. It just didn't feel like the offense was doing anything to the Valkyries that felt impressive. Jonquel Jones was great, but didn't seem like they were feeding her as much as they could have. So it felt like they weren't targeting some of the Valkyries' weaknesses tonight. That being said, we've talked about the guards, the Valkyries' defense has been on another level these last 3 games. I think they held Liberty to their lowest points scored this game with only 67. They did that to the Dream earlier this week. And the Dream didn't even crack 80 once this week, so it's pretty impressive to watch these Valkyries kind of use their game planning, their waves of defenders to kind of just close the talent gap, because on paper, this Liberty team should match up really well into the Valkyries, and I think we've seen in these two games, like, they haven't even sniffed what the Valkyries could do. Like, these have been blowouts, and the Liberty are like a top 4 team. So I'm just pretty impressed by the Valkyries tonight, especially like we talked about entering this 3-game stretch. Like, it was going to be so important for them moving forward, not just in like their season, but also in the standings. They earned 2 tiebreakers in this 3-game stretch. They have it over Atlanta, they have it over Liberty, and that's huge in terms of getting a home playoff series. Because we've talked about this team is different at home and on the road. And if they can get a home playoff series, that's going to increase their chances of really like scaring the league. So overall, I came away pretty impressed with the Valkyries and underwhelmed with the Liberty.
Yeah, and let's be honest, like, this is 67 points is a little bit deceiving. I think it'd be,
Like 50. It felt more like 58.
I mean, they were at 58 until they brought in the subs, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, really impressive. I want to throw it to Eric real quick, because I thought you had a really good question to Natalie. It looked like the Liberty were just trying to do anything to speed up the Valkyries. They threw out like a 2-2-1 press. They picked up Veronica Burton 94 feet. Eric, tell us about how the Valkyries were able to control the pace of this game, and especially against a team where you would think, smaller Valkyries team, they want to push the pace. How are they able to kind of control it and slow it down, even against a team with as much size that New York brought?
It was really noticeable that they, first of all, broke the first edge of the press just with good passing and good spacing. But then once they did, sometimes they had numbers, and you would think it'd be time to go and try to get a layup, but they always pulled it out. And it was, I don't even know if that felt boring to people, but it seemed clear that it was an intentional game plan, and Natalie confirmed it, that they just wanted to be in the half court all the time, because if they kept on going and attacking in chaos, then they're going to get tired and they're going to possibly hurt themselves. She's been really on about injuries all year. And also, maybe unspoken, is that if in chaos you can turn it over, and then now the only way the Liberty are really going to come back on the Valkyries is if they can get some transition hoops, and if you avoid that, then they just have to keep on going against the set half-court defense. Can I chip in one thing about the? You were talking about how great the guards did, which is absolutely true. Let's not forget what Kia said last time. She finally got people to pay attention and let her rotate to block things and not just foul people driving. Part of the guards were able to stay close to the Liberty guards because they could trail really close behind, go over the screens, and they knew that if they got past them, then there would be someone to rotate at the basket. And so that was sometimes Kia, but it was LA or KT or whoever was supposed to be in the paint. If there wasn't someone on the strong side, then someone would rotate from the weak side. So there was a lot of connectivity, a lot of great communication.
It's interesting because, like, with that game plan, I mean, I feel like the Valkyries defense has been really good all season, but, like, you can feel in these last couple games, especially in this 3-game winning streak, they are doing that thing where they funnel everything to Kia to clean up. It's kind of what the Sky did to the Valkyries earlier this season. They funneled everything to Cardoso to clean up, like, run them off the line, make them attack the paint, and have them. Which is uber impressive. I gotta say.
Yeah, it's. I want to shout too. Like the most interesting stat of the night for me, at least, bench 39 points, starters 37 for the Valkyries. I mean, a really, you talk about going into maybe a playoff series with as much depth. I mean, I don't know if there's any team in the league right now that has as much depth as the Valkyries do. Especially if they're gonna, Kyla Charles is gonna give you a night like tonight. Caitlin Chen was really solid. Obviously, Janelle has been constant. I guess to any of you guys, I mean, what's kind of the growth you guys have seen from this bench? Because it wasn't too long ago we were talking about maybe do they need to add another piece? I mean, where are they right now with the roster? What's just impressed you guys with this bench?
I think LA just kind of getting back into the rotation is a big part of that, because now they do just have that reliable option to come in and play in the post and kind of just change the way they play. They don't have to have Ja playing at the 5 or down there, and they don't have to have KT playing there as much either. So, like, I just think LA being available and playing these games and them trusting her has made, like, a real significant difference in just, like, how we can view the bench depth.
Yeah, I totally agree with that, and I think another piece is just how well Caitlin Chen has been playing because of the way that it does relieve some of the load and minutes off of Veronica Burton. I know Natalie talked about like their own minutes restrictions and how they're kind of managing the schedule with Veronica could play 35 minutes like every game, but they shouldn't do that, not in this first half of the season. So Caitlin Chen off the bench has been huge and reliable, and then I feel like Tiffany Hayes just bringing in that downhill attack is it doesn't really get old. It's ever fiery. So
Yeah.
she's always good for like a punch or two.
Yeah, it's interesting too. I mean, I think Caitlin Chen. I do want to bring it back to her. I feel like she's, Veronica has played. I think you mentioned, Marisa, like Veronica's played such heavy minutes, maybe the 3 or 4 games prior to tonight. But Caitlin has really brought something. I think really a change of pace when it comes to like Veronica is more your traditional like let's slow down, let's get a good shot, let's find someone else. Caitlin's kind of stepping into a role where she can find her own shot.
Microwave scorer.
Yeah, a little bit of a microwave scorer. Had a very interesting. I think you could thank one of the officials tonight for setting that great screen on one of her layup attempts. Where do you guys see Caitlin right now in terms of where her role on the team? And is this real? This is a big stretch of games where she's scoring at a very consistent rate. Is this real?
I think it's real.
Well, can I chip in that?
Oh yeah, go for it, Eric.
I think the whole part about her being a scorer is really big time. Like, I think last year you could figure she could be a system player, but as we've talked about, one way to play the Valkyries is that the Valkyries kind of like to go 5 out, you drive, and then when help comes, you spray it out to the open 3. So one way to play that is never help. Just let the person drive and defend them, and don't let them spray. So that means that if you can't score, then the possession is dead. So Caitlin has somehow introduced enough wild flying hooks of both hands, the floater, even some muscling in. I feel like that part of her game, the bucket getting, has been really big.
Yeah, it's been I think a roller coaster for her. From getting cut before training camp last year to coming back mid-season and not really knowing with her place on the roster even going into this year. But I know, we've talked about it a lot, but let's get into like what this win means, because it does feel like, you beat Atlanta twice. You clinched that season series. You beat New York now twice. You clinched that season series. It's the 2 best teams in the East right now.
Yeah.
The only teams they've lost to this month, the top 2 teams in the league, in Vegas and Minnesota. So I guess I'll pose it to you guys. Are the Valkyries, are they championship contenders? Are they in that bubble, or where do you guys see them? This is a pretty big 3-game win streak right now, but curious where your guys' thoughts are at with this team.
Well, mathematically, they're in the top 3 contenders, right? They're number 3 all by themselves. Like, at this point of the season, that doesn't lie. I would be scared of Vegas. I would be scared of Minnesota. Obviously, those have been bad matchups. I think the Dallas game was the most impressive for me for the Valkyries because that matchup still kind of worries me. But the fact that they were able to adjust there, just because Dallas is a team that, like, even their guard play is, like, pretty big compared to a lot of other teams. They have a lot of size. They're really good in the mid-range as well. But they were able to handle them. They were able to handle Atlanta. They've made New York look silly twice now, and like 2 different versions of New York and kind of 2 different versions of the Valkyries as well. So that just kind of looks like a game planning thing too. So yeah, to me, like if we're talking about right now, obviously there's many months left in this season to get to the end. But like right now, yeah, I don't see any reason we can't be calling them a true contender.
This stretch made me kind of open my eyes in terms of how they can impose a will on another team. Because I feel like against the Aces and the Lynx, those 2 teams made the Valkyries play a very different style of basketball. They made them play out of their comfort zone in these like shootouts, and like the defense wasn't really working. They're kind of breaking the Valkyries' defense here. I feel like in this stretch, the Valkyries kind of showed like, hey, we can muddy up Atlanta's 90 points per game offense. We can make the Liberty's talent look pretty, inefficient and not very star-studded. So I think like this series has convinced me that they can win a playoff round and maybe get spicy in the second round. I don't know if I'm ready to put them in the same tier as the Aces or the Lynx. I feel like they're in that like 1.5 tier where it's like very clearly the Lynx and the Aces are like the top tier because of the talent and star power and everything. But the Valkyries are like right there. And if you look at the standings, they're only a game and a half behind the Aces. So all it takes is like the Aces feeling a little lazy and not prioritizing the regular season for the Valkyries to move into 2. And if you get like, again, I'm gonna keep emphasizing this. This team plays better at home, so you need a home playoff series. And if you get to 2, that means you have two rounds of home playoff series. So, this is a good stretch not only to prove that they're a good team, but also to mathematically improve their chances in the playoffs.
Yeah, I think that this week just really, I guess, moved the goalpost further from maybe what we were talking about at the beginning of the season, where like, can they get a playoff win? Can they, this is a team that has two like experiences of like playoff games. It's really not a lot. And being able to simulate kind of like a playoff situation with the Atlanta back-to-back series and coming out of that in quite different ways and then like producing different games and different ways to beat this team, I think shows that really they would be a tough out for Minnesota and in Las Vegas. But sorry, the technical
The name of this
got
episode is
distracted.
Technical Difficulties.
They would be a tough out for Minnesota and Las Vegas, but they have shown that they can handle just about anyone else. So I think kind of moving the goalposts, and they are looking to make a deep playoff run at this point, and I feel like they're absolutely capable because this defense has been so good.
Yeah.
And I'll be slightly pessimistic compared to everybody. So I think obviously the Aces have been a problem, and the Lynx, they're going to be getting back probably a couple of really good players. But I think the Valkyries can beat anyone in a series, except I'm still doubtful about those 2 teams, and also Atlanta. Just to put it in perspective, Atlanta and the Liberty have been on long road trips, so there's a certain amount of that. And I also feel like this is boring, but they're still small. I feel like that for many teams, they've been able to defend bigger people by swarming them. Like they get into the paint, and then the Valkyries send a second person sneakily in there, and then now it's up to the big to try to find the open person. And if you can't process it fast, then you're going to have a problem. But Asia Wilson, she's figured it out. And the Lynx, probably as soon as they get, Nafisa back, or they just re-scheme, or they or Olivia figures out the traps that they've been throwing. So I feel like there's still these 2 kind of relative defects in a great defense, which is like bigs who can figure out the double team and little speed bug point guards who can beat the first line of attack.
Eric, I want to ask you a question, because the thing that I've been on and like kind of a lot of people have noticed is like the Valkyries are a really good shot making team, but their shot quality isn't the greatest. And I still think tonight you kind of saw that. Like, I think me and Nathan were counting like how many times did they get bailed out, or how many times was there a hand grenade that actually went their way. So my question to you is, this offense, what is the ceiling of this offense, given that I think they're finding some momentum with Gabby becoming a closer and everything, and tonight she didn't have a great game, but like overall she's been playing really well. What is the ceiling of this offense if they are to be a deep threat in the playoffs?
What do you think the ceiling is, Kenzo? No, I'm just trying to be like Natalie. I think
I got PTSD.
I think that the offense is adequate. Like, it's fine. It's a 3.5 quarters offense. Like, it's statistically, it's actually not that bad. I think it looks bad for several reasons. One, like, you see the horrible shot clock violations. You see people hoisting hopeless shots on ISOs. You see the bad ones, and then you see droughts where they're not hitting shots, and the other team makes a big comeback. And then for me, it looks bad aesthetically. Like, I like off-ball movement. I like passing. I like that kind of 5-person teamwork. But it's statistically been fine. They're the number 8 offense in the league, and that goes well with the number 2 defense. So last year, they were number 11 or something at offense. And then they, you have to have realistic expectations. And then they added Gabby, who is an A-plus player, but I'm not sure she's an A bucket getter in the scale of what's out there in the WNBA. So to improve the offense is like that, and they just needed to be adequate enough to let their defense take over. And they still have this issue, though, of not having a bucket getter in the last half of the quarter. And I think that is going to be a determinative factor in the playoffs.
I wanted to. I mean, this kind of brings me to what I was going to talk about next. I feel like there's been some, like we've talked about how maybe they do need to go find a big in the trade market, or maybe that bucket getter is out there that they maybe could swing and maybe use some assets to go get. But I guess to a certain degree, does this winning streak, this 3-game stretch they just had, does it change like a little bit of where you guys are at with like, do they need to make a move necessarily, or do you still think like going into, I think inevitably a playoff series? I think they're a playoff team, no doubt now, but inevitably, like, do they need that going into a playoff series, whether that's a score or a big?
There's something out there that is worth it at this point is what I kind of look at. Like LA having a presence kind of solves some of the big issues, like in the post, like Eric said, like they are still undersized and that is a situation, but like it's better when you know you have LA as an option. And like, what trade are you going to make to bring in someone who's going to help more right now? Like realistically, there's not that many bigs that can make the impact that the Valkyries need, because they built this team around Ileana Repair being that player. And there's no one really like her in the league that you can just kind of plug in and be like, okay, now we're back to like what the scheduled programming, So like, I don't think there's going to be any move there that's realistic, that's going to be worth trading like a pick or one of their young players. As far as a scorer, that's maybe a little more interesting. If Phoenix tries to blow things up, do you move some picks there? I don't think the Sparks are going to blow things up, even though like those are some veteran pieces that could help someone. But yeah, I mean, at this point, like I kind of ride with what they have, unless like something crazy comes along that they don't really use their picks anyway. So go move one of those picks for a player that can help you now and for a couple of years. But I wouldn't make an overreaction trade just because I don't think there's going to be a ton out there that's worth it.
Yeah, I mean, exactly what you just said. I also think that like this stretch goes to show you don't need to fix something that's working.
Yeah.
Like, it's working right now. And obviously it's, against the Aces in a 5-game playoff series is probably not going to work, but it's better than last year. So I couldn't really imagine them blowing, especially with the way this roster is constructed and how deep they are with their bench. Like, honestly, all of these pieces are important. So it would be a little bit weird for them to have to. I mean, we've talked about the situations and what they'd have to get rid of to match salaries and guarantees and stuff, and you would be getting rid of a contributing piece.
Yeah, what does it do for the chemistry if you have to like match a veteran contract with Tipes or something, right? Like, I'm not sure it's worth it at this point.
I guess to me, it's like a bigger picture question. Like, do we think that they can compete this year? Because if that's the case, I do think you probably need that piece.
Push your chips
I don't know if you can go into a second round series against, or even a first round series for that matter, against a Liberty or even in Atlanta without that scoring piece. I think if the goal is to win this year, I think there is some room to say, okay, this chemistry is great, but is it going to take us far enough to compete to get to a second round? I do think if you're looking at it more holistically in terms of, like, maybe we don't do it this year, but next year, then I think you keep. I think then you stay put. But yeah, I mean, I guess that's the bigger question. Where do you guys see them at? Are they in that? I mean, it kind of goes back to the bubble. If it's Alyssa Thomas, would you swing?
I've been saying Alyssa Thomas like for a while. Yeah, I would do that. But like, that's a superstar that changes the way that you play. I know she's getting older and everything, but like, would just kind of change the dynamic and still do a lot of the things that they like to do. But there aren't that many Alyssa Thomases out there, and I'm not sure the Valkyries have the best assets to make that move compared to other teams in the league either. So like, to me, like, yeah, that's an exception. But like, am I going out there trying to like get Camila Cardoso for this year for like a first? I don't know. I don't know. It really depends what's out there, and I just don't see there being a ton that's going to be worth their while when the trade deadline comes.
Well, speaking of trade, the question also becomes your assets, and they have all their picks, but the one intriguing asset they do have on their roster is Yusteo Chite, and she's not playing. Like, our teams are definitely 2 minutes tonight in garbage time. Hasn't been able to find the
floor. Shot with someone in her face,
I know that wasn't even her fault. She got handed a hand grenade there. Just summarize our thoughts. I don't think the Valkyries exactly have the appetite to do something crazy at the deadline, given their chemistry. Given that, I think they still do have a lot of faith in Yusteo Chite's development, from what I've heard. That being said, the 5-year timeline is hanging over this team. And if they think they have a window, I don't think it's out of the realm to see them pushing their chips in for something that they think can move them up a needle. Because I think they kind of know, like, we're a really good team. We have a problem with the Aces and the Lynx, and those are the two teams that they're going to have to beat if they want to get to a conference, like the semifinals there. So I think they're not going to do something small. I think it would have to be something big. But we'll see what happens. I think a lot depends on this next streak of games where they actually don't play that many good teams. But if you have a window, sometimes you have to open that window and really climb for it. Because like the Phoenix Mercury last year, right? They made the finals, and now they're about to blow it up. Windows close really fast. So I do think this team has to kind of, if they're operating under the assumption they're going to win in 5 years, they kind of have to think about pushing their chips in at some point.
And I think too, that there is trades that like I think could help a team midseason that are not like the all-star. Right? Like I think of Melissa Smith going to the Vegas. Like it plugged a need and became like a long-term player. Like
that helped them win the championship.
Dejanay Carrington going to Minnesota. Like that changed, like that added already to a good defensive team. Right? There's like I think smaller, not like Alyssa Thomas level trades, but like there could be like I do think there's
a starter level.
Yeah, a starter level trade that raises the ceiling a little bit. But I do want to move to like what we have the slate going forward, because I do think
they have a chance here.
July could really make them, give them a run. Outside of the Dream, there's not really a.
There's a Fever once, right?
Yeah, they have the Fever. They have.
Yeah.
In Indiana, yeah. I think Toronto, you can't really sleep on. The Mystics, I think, are kind of frisky. Like,
they're
could be something.
Yeah.
But kind of looking ahead towards the rest of the season, I think I read a stat and like they don't play. They have one of the easiest schedules, the back half.
Yes.
Should they be? I mean, I think it's pretty well known they should probably be aiming for a top 3 seed. But is that, in your guys' eyes, even with the schedule, is that possible for them?
Absolutely. Like this schedule. I mean, they're on the road a lot, and I think the stat that from today is like the Valkyries have not traveled that much in the last couple of weeks just because of like they've had the homestand. So I think this was a good test in that regard, like stamina and everything like that. But if they go on a run here, plus the tiebreakers that I keep emphasizing, they have a really good shot mathematically just to like lock up a top 4 seed. And I honestly think if you can push for the 2nd seed, you definitely should, because you want 2 home playoff series. I don't know if that's possible. In terms of like, you don't want to push your team too hard and, create injuries like now we keep saying. But it's definitely within the realm, which is not what I would say like maybe 2 weeks ago after those losses to the Aces and the Lynx.
Getting greedy, Kenzo.
Yeah,
that's the 2 seed.
Yeah.
I think they should definitely be trying for the top 4, but I guess I'm still a little concerned.
Only a game and a half.
It is also, I'll do mention this, it's not like these 3 games lifted them significantly over the next 2 teams. I mean, Atlanta and New York are still only like, I think, between a game and a half and 2.5 games back. So it's like the Valkyries are like, I think, susceptible to like, if they go on a 3-game losing streak and somehow Atlanta and New York go on some long winning streak, like they are susceptible to like go drop back down.
Indiana's only like a game and a half.
Yeah,
right?
game and a half. Yeah, I think Indiana's not that far.
The Wings,
That middle.
I think
you still have to get to the tiebreakers.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Because those tiebreakers, having those against those other middle teams, when it's going to come down. I mean, that's one of the reasons last year they ended up in trouble down the stretches. They didn't have the tiebreaker with Seattle. So now that they're going to have those, like that's huge.
Yeah, this standings, like the bottom is gonna all be like a half a game.
Yeah.
So like that's huge to get that right now, early on in the season.
Since we have Eric on. Oh, go ahead, Eric. Go ahead.
I'm starting to feel like I'm being the pessimist, even though I think usually I'm very optimistic. But I'm a little concerned about this. I feel like the Valkyries are going to be a very good regular season team. Like they should win most of the games they should win. And I feel like that's what happens when you have a good scheme that people don't really have time to plan against, and you're playing 110% effort all the time. But then you hit the playoffs, everyone's playing 110% effort, and they have time to scheme. So, again, I wouldn't be surprised if they snuck into the top 4, but I do feel like they still need that one more piece, and I'm not sure that it can be just another starter, like the key starter, because I feel like they've already got like a whole team of like that starter who's going to make a difference, but they don't have that Alyssa Thomas.
I mean, to your point, Eric, these wins have been impressive, but it's been on the defensive end. The last 3 games, their wins, it's only 77 points, 78 points, and 76 points. So they're not exactly blowing teams out with their scoring here. It's really the defense like shutting them down. And I think, like you said, when it comes to scouting, like without a scout, like it's easier for these defenses to get to shut down the Dream or the Liberty or whoever. So that'll be interesting. And it's like what you said earlier, like they're a 3.5 quarter offense. Gabby's proven that she can be a closer in a very impressive way this stretch, but also, you know, their whole isolation, spray it out thing doesn't exactly work in the last 2 minutes all the time. So I do think they have to figure out some of those things. Those are some of the nitpicks I would have for this stretch still. Because if Gabby doesn't go off in that Dream game, I think it gets a little dire because she was 1 of 7 entering that 4th. So it'll be interesting to see how this team translates to the playoffs because, like you said, it's a different game. And I think we've seen in a lot of sports, like some teams are regular season teams and end up not being playoff teams. I think they have the coaching to translate in that regard, and I think Gabby and Veronica has gotten some experience from last year, and they have like some like a little bit of like they've dipped their toes into the playoff atmosphere.
He has won a championship before.
Yeah. So I think it's going to be interesting to see what happens once playoff time comes. But that's so far away from now. They still got to focus on what's ahead of them.
You were the one asking about playoffs the other day, Kenzo.
Hey,
yeah, I was gonna say, come on out, like, come on.
I'm asking the big picture questions.
Especially when every game is a rivalry game. I mean, doesn't that make it a pseudo playoff game? I don't know.
14 rivals,
before we go, I do want to ask because Eric does an amazing job breaking down film. I mean,
explain one play. Go watch explain one play.
One of the best in the game at that. So I wanted to give him his flowers there, but I do have a question on that. I mean, you break down a lot of film, Eric. Tell me what your favorite set they run is, and if you think that's going to be something that they could, it's a set that maybe they could rely on in a playoff series that, when all else fails, Natalie can go to this.
All right, I'm going to kind of dodge that question. I will tell you that, like, there've been a couple of plays I've been wanting to break down just because they're kind of fun. So, like, I did the WTF play a while ago, and then there's this triangle baseline out of bounds play they've been running. But I never wanted to do the video because it never scored. Like, if you remember Eustace's first basket, it was on that play. Like, she got this little sideline, right, this little baseline jumper. And, like, it basically never worked. So every time it's like, yeah, that's the play. But, I don't want to just show it failing all the time. And so they've stopped running it, and they're running this other play. And so I'm not really sure that there's, like, a set play of theirs that I think is really good. I feel like they break it down to very basic things. Like, Gabby likes to get the ball, get a handoff at the top, and, like, go downhill curling around, right? Veronica likes to be on the wing and get a screen and, going away the other. Very basic offense that, this is a good chance. Actually, building what Natalie said, I feel like it's actually kind of a feature of their offense that it's so basic because they don't turn the ball over very much. Like, the turnovers they do are very memorable, but if you look statistically, they're by far the best team in terms of taking care of the ball. Yeah. And if you step back, it makes sense because if you have one of the best defenses, then you want the other team to always be playing against you with a set defense. The only way you can screw it up is if they get a bunch of runouts against you. Otherwise, take your chances with your defense. So I would say that the general scheme is good. And then the whole thing about the 3.5 quarter, that offense, that wasn't really a shot at the Nakase offense because I think all offenses are really 3.5 quarter. Like, when it comes down to the end of the game, all the teams have made their adjustments. They've kind of seen all the plays that you've run. You've made adjustments to the adjustments. There's not much more than just having some people who are individually good at getting buckets. So as boring as it is, I do think they still need a bucket getter. Maybe that can be Gabby, and I know it will be Gabby sometimes, but I'm not really sure there's a great scheme that they're running that I can say, yeah, that's it. They're going to go to that one.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that you're kind of spot on there. It'll be very interesting how they kind of look in the playoff series, especially, we saw what it looked like against Minnesota last year, but I'm sure there's going to be some adjustments from the Nakase side. Before we end, I guess we're going to do Joseph Dykes' favorite thing. I'll go around and I'll start with you, Marisa. Where can we find your stuff? What are you working on?
ValkyriesBeat.com. Please subscribe. A lot of stuff coming up this week. I've banked like a ton of features, so stuff coming on Gabby, on KT, on what Kyla Charles described as the tweeners of her, KT, and Janelle Salon, and how they've kind of made do with like this 3 through 5 role. Yeah, and then I'll be in LA coming up soon for some Spark stuff, and then I'll be joining the Valkyries on the road in Indiana, so stay tuned for all of that.
Jane, where can we find your stuff?
You can read me at the San Francisco Standard, and I should have a piece on Gabby Williams that will be out tomorrow. Check it out.
Let's go.
Eric, we kind of alluded to your channel, but tell us where we can find anything breakdown related, any written word. Where can we find you, Eric?
Valkyrie's stuff is based at Valkyrie Nation. I think at this point, if you Google Valkyrie Nation Apricot, then you'll find it. For the MWNBA, I've got doublenationhq.com, and then I have YouTube channels that also Eric Apricot.
Did you say MWNBA?
It's Pride Month. Go with it.
Kenzo, where can we find your stuff, and what are you working on?
You can find me on Clutch Points. What am I working on? Honestly, this next week, because the Valkyries have 5 days off, I'm going to be taking a little bit of vacay, take advantage of the break in the schedule. But I'll have some stuff. I'll have some coverage. I'll probably be on some podcasts. You'll find me writing about Warrior stuff because Summer League's coming up. But yeah, stay tuned for more. And I love saying this word, subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to this new channel because this is where all things at Valkyrie Courtside will be. Maybe I'll throw in a breakdown, do follow in Eric's footsteps. Because I watched Eric a lot growing up with the Warrior stuff, so maybe I'll do a breakdown on something here or there. But yeah, that's all I got.
What I'm hearing, Eric, is that Kenzo might be your sensei. Is it sensei is the student? I don't know.
No, Sensei's the teacher, bro.
So yeah, sorry. So you're the student. So that might be.
For like Waluigi.
Whoa.
What?
Yeah, Wario Waluigi.
Waluigi? I don't know.
Hey, you can find me at the Bay Area News Group, San Jose Mercury News, East Bay Times. I'm gonna have something out on probably the Valkyries maybe being the best team at stopping opposing scores. I don't know. We'll see. I'll have to figure all that out. But you can find me there. I'm on Valkyries Wednesday. It'll come out something on Wednesday. We'll and I'm also taking vacation in a couple weeks, so you might not hear from me. You might hear from Joseph Dykes. So, tune in there. If you are mad at our lighting, just know we got kicked out of where we usually record. So we're gonna have to. We have some things to figure out.
Report Studios is shut down.
So we're gonna have to figure out a new tenant. Maybe
if you subscribe, we can record a studio.
Yeah,
so.
maybe. Hey, we'll see. But aside from that, I guess we'll figure. We might have one more. I think we should maybe have one more before Saturday, but we'll see. We'll keep you all tuned in. But yes, subscribe to the new channel. Catch us on Spotify and wherever you get your podcasts. That's it for us today, and we'll see you soon.